Hi, everybody. Welcome. I know you've heard about Michael Sheridan and his passion for dreams, but how did he get there? Why is he so passionate about it? And why does he feels like that's the answer to why you're here, your life purpose, what your gifts are, and so much more that you can get out of dreams? If you want to find out more, stay tuned.
Welcome to the Dream Interpretation Podcast with Michael and Sandy.
Hello, welcome everybody. We are so excited you are here.
Well, this is a show apparently where Sandy's going to put the thumb screws on me, so I'm going to hand it over to Sandy.
That's right. We are going to have some fun. People have asked and wondered, why did Michael get into dreams and how did he get into dreams and where has it brought him and what can dreams do for you? Okay, Michael, let's start the questions. How did you get into dreams? I'm really curious.
It was by accident, really. I ended up seeing spirits suddenly, and that was something I didn't like very unpleasant experience. But it set me on a journey of trying to figure out why that was happening. And I did all sorts of courses. I paid for everything I could afford, and I read every book that existed. This is before the internet. There was one bookstore in Ireland that carried spiritual books, and I went in every week or every 2 weeks to see did they get something new. It's crazy to think about everything's at your fingertips now. But so I was on this journey trying to figure out who I was, or why I could see spirits and various other things that were happening to me. And I thought, oh, the spirit world is real. I can now see spirits, even though it's scary. So it's real. And now they're going to tell me what it's all about. But no. So 2 years in, I finally did a dream course with my mentor, George Radican. And I had done other courses that were dream courses, and I thought they were terrible. Didn't help me at all. So I wasn't even wanting to go to this one. But my sister insisted because she wanted to go, which is great. Thank God for her. And so we missed the first week because of my reluctance and of spending more money on something that I knew was useless. And we go to the second week, and I submit a dream anonymously, and my dream is chosen. And so the group that I was with interpreted my dream. Nobody knew it was me. And it was amazing. They described me to a T, and it wasn't pretty, but it was like accurate. It was so incredibly accurate. It was crazy. And right at the end of it all, like just jaw dropping stuff, at the end of it, she just casually throws in, oh, by the way, the dreamer was born by cesarean section. I mean, you had to pick me up off the floor after that. It was astounding. And I'm thinking, oh my God, they got that good in 1 week. I missed 1 week, and this is what happens. But that wasn't what happened. Apparently, this was George's star student, and he had trained her 20 years ago. She'd been working at it for a long time, and she had come back for a refresher. And I was just lucky. I had the world's two best dream interpreters in the one room, vying with each other to see what more they could extract from a dream. But it told me so much about myself. But I knew I had hit on the fountain of knowledge. Like it was all accurate. And the shocking part was I was on this 2 year journey trying to figure out what was going on. And my dreams were telling me the whole time. So once I understood that, and once I understood somebody knew how to access this information, that was me set. I mean, and now 35 years later, I'm further into dreams than I ever was.
I love that, Michael. And I have to agree with you because when you did some of my dreams and when I attended some of your courses, I could not believe the changes in people just by you doing their dream. And what I love about your new abilities and the gifts that you have brought in because of you following your dreams and doing this work and staying with it, you now can tell people not only what the dream means, but why? Would you like to talk a little bit about that? And then we're going to travel back to how did you move forward? And now I understand dreams. But first, I want to know what you're doing with the why. I think the why is so important.
So, listeners, if you're ever thinking, hey, I've really settled into a comfortable spot in life, I can just coast from here on out, and you decide, oh no, I need a challenge, marry Sandy because she's going to push you and make you go further with something that you didn't know you could go further with. But that's what happened with me. Sandy's like, I think you can go further. And she pushed me into doing this. So now what I do when I look at dreams, I figure out the dream and then I go, okay, why did the dreamer have the dream? And so for me, it was kind of a curiosity. Can I do this? Can I do this? But I not only can I get why the dreamer had the dream, but I frequently it'll take me to other things about the person on the other side, who they are on the other side. And then I began to notice that whoever the person is on the other side of the veil matches the gifts and things that they use to help people with on this side of the veil. So really, really fascinating the continuity that exists. And then it's just so much more enlightening because then when you see who somebody is, you notice that in almost all of their dreams, like there it is again, there it is again, there it is again. Even if it's not the surface or the core message of the dream, it's still present. So yeah, fascinating that who we are on both sides is like immutable.
That is incredible, and I love that dreams show you this, and they also give you the hint to the why the dreams today. But let's step back just a little bit. So now you think you found the fountain of knowledge, you're still seeing spirits, you're still living in the world that you're living in. What made you step forward? What made you decide to pursue this like there's no tomorrow? Explain that to me.
Well, I I just wanted to understand it for me. And it was George pushed me saying I should be teaching this. And because of the previous class I had been in and that being terrible, that person had told us in the group that George was his mentor and George had told him he should be teaching it. So I just kind of rolled my eyes at George and I said, yeah, you say that to everybody. I mean, this is how irreverent I was. But like he caught me looking funny. He goes, but why would you say that? Why do you think that? And I explained. And he goes, oh, no, I know who that is. But I never told them they should be teaching dreams. And that's when he told me that, like, the only other person he said it to in his 20 years of doing it was the lady who interpreted my dream anonymously in the first class I went to. He said, it's her. And then 20 years later, it's you. You're the only two people I've ever said should be doing that. But then he showed me a reading that he had got early in the 60s and he had it typed up. And he was told that a person would approach him and offer to put his work on an electronic device. And this was before computers existed. You know, I think IBM had theirs, but there was no PCs or anything like that. And so when I offered to do that for him, I said, hey, let's form a partnership. I'll put your work on into a computer program. He immediately said yes. And then he showed me the reading later on. But even with all of that, I wasn't really pushing myself. It was other people pushed me. So I'm lucky my sister who's passed, Sally, she pushed me. And in fact, the very first class I ever taught was in her house. She got all the people, all the clients, students that wanted to learn, and then kind of dropped it on me. I think they said like on Tuesday, oh, you're teaching a class on Thursday. And they didn't give me enough time to panic enough to get out of it. But I did panic. But, and I had already created all the materials for George to use. So I spruced up the materials he used in his classes. I had created overheads, acetates, color ones for him to use with an overhead projector. So I already had all of that because we duplicated it all. And so it was kind of funny how I was ambushed into it. But then I loved it. Like, I mean, I knew I would. My interest in dreams is just off the charts, crazy stuff. Like if I'm not working with a client, I'm working on a dream anyway, or I'm channeling about how dreams work for myself, for my own interest and all that sort of thing, which is crazy to think. But yeah, once I did the classes, it was great. It gave me an outlet, not so much to talk about dreams, but to talk about spiritual things. And that's really the part I love. And the reason I love it is because I had been on this 2-year quest and I had got some good answers to things, but they weren't my answers. And so what I loved is I had learned like lots of different things. So if I see a gift in somebody's dreams, I can tell them how to use it because I've trained in how to use it, even though it wouldn't be my strong suit necessarily. And dreams again will say, look, everybody's on a different path. So this is your path, Sandy. This is your path, Michael. And they might cross over a little bit, but they're uniquely different. And even if your gift is the same as my gift, how you're going to use it is going to be uniquely different because your background is different. And dreams covered that for me. So I went from doing lots of classes with different people who are great, who said, this is how you achieve a connection with the spirit world. And it's true for them, but not true for everybody. So I love the fact that dreams say, hey, here's 10 people and here's 10 different paths.
I love that, Michael, and that is how you teach your channeling courses. That's how we teach the dream interpretation, is it's all individual. Everybody has their own path, their own individual, and I love that. So, Michael, let's move on just a little bit further. So, you decided, "Oh my god, this is like the path," and you got forced into teaching it. So, what happened there? I mean, because you taught it for a long time. How did things change for you? What did it do to make your life better?
Well, for a long time, it was my second job. So I kept my conventional job and I would teach in the evenings, typically Thursday evening. I would always have a class running 2.5 hours on a Thursday. And I did it cohort based, kind of did that all the time anyway. And I had a lot of people I would take through the process called cutting the ties that bind. So what I liked about it was getting to know somebody, getting to see what their issues are from their dreams, and then helping them heal the trauma that they had picked up in childhood, and then watching the transformation. And, it was an outlet for me. My tribe were the people who came to my classes. Now, anybody who knows me knew I was into this because I don't keep it secret or anything like that. But it's very different when you've got a whole group of people asking you questions that make you go, okay, I know the answer to this one, or I can channel and get the answer to the one you just asked. It's a fascinating thing to do. But marrying a person's experiences and their traumas and the horrible things in their life and making sense of why they happen, how they are the important thing in their life. Because most of us look at the traumas and go, if only for this, I would be such a better person. And the spirit world and our dreams tell us, no, that's what you needed. You needed that speed bump in order to get you onto the path that you need to be on. Like we were talking before about what caused you to do energy work, to put 17 years into training and learning about energy work. And it was because of issues in your life that you're like, I want to figure out or heal these. So if those speed bumps weren't there, you wouldn't have ever done that thing, the most important thing that you're ever going to do. And you wouldn't then set yourself up for the next thing that's in your life. It's always interesting. The spirit world doesn't care about the time that you do things in, they just care about the sequence. This is important before the next thing. And then we see that in dreams too. They will always say, this is the next step on your path. And people will often ask, but where am I going? What's the ultimate destination? And most of the time, we're not told that answer because they know well that if we're told that answer, we will just try to do that last thing and skip everything in between. But it's the journey that's the important part, what we learn about ourselves, the things that we have to heal, for instance, in order to step out onto a stage, in order to be able to stay in a vulnerable space in a classroom while people are all looking at you and keeping your connection and channeling and getting answers for them. That's a hard thing for some people to do. Certainly was for me for quite a while. And so there's a lot of work involved in getting yourself to be solid enough to be able to do those things. But that work is the work that benefits you. So you come here to help other people, but there's always work that you have to do on yourself to help improve yourself. And that's probably the most important thing for you, really.
And I love that, and I love where I've seen you go, and I've seen how much you've grown, and what I really enjoy is that your tagline is, "With as little as one dream, you can help someone find their purpose in life." You wanna explain a little bit about that? What is so magnificent about a dream that allows you to see that in someone?
Well, the reason I can say with as little as one dream is your dreams are telling you the next step. So you don't have to go scourge all your dreams and go, where's the one with the important information? The last dream you had is an important dream. And so when you look at that, it's going to say, here's what you need to do now. And it's always going to be relevant to what's going on today. So even if dreams talk about your past, which they frequently do, they're talking about it because something in your past impacts you today. Now, it might impact you positively or it might impact you negatively, but the dream's going to show it. So everything is kind of tied up in a bow that says all these paths lead to this issue today, or this strength today, or this ability that you have that you need to step out and use. So it's wonderful that we can look at the dreams and get that. And then it resonates with the dreamer because dreams come from the dreamer, obviously. And when you interpret it accurately, they're going to know it's an accurate interpretation. There's no second guessing going, well, maybe I kind of half see what you say. No, a person will fully get what you say because it resonates deeply at a core level, like beyond words. It's like, I get it. I know what you're talking about. That is me. And that's why one dream can really grab you and shake you and say, not only do we understand all the trauma and pain that's in your life, we know why you experienced it and we know what you need to do to heal it. And we see things about you that you don't see in yourself. We see your highest potential and we see how you're going to help other people because of the pain that you've been through, how it's going to help you to help other people. Like it's really shocking to people when they get that and the resonance is so deep that it's like, I know God has been watching me throughout my life because this has just made it clear to me.
That is so beautiful. I loved how you wrapped all that up. Now, so you continued on your journey. You got really into dreams. Talk a little bit about you did radio shows. How did you get to the point that you realized this is where I need to go? It's no longer a hobby I have to keep after work. It is now my passion and I need to move it forward and I need to build because you've built the audience. There's been people out there forever looking at dreams. There's so many books that are just not correct, and yet you have built this. So explain how you decided that this is it, and I'll go through everything to do this.
Well, I made a pact in the beginning. I said I would never turn down an interview of a radio show called me. And this is when I lived in Ireland. If I got called or if I was on the TV, I would always say yes. Now, there's a couple of times I got scared and I said no because they were really, really big shows, which was stupid of me, but that's how it is. And so I ended up on two radio shows, alternate weeks. So on a radio show every week and then on the TV every 6 weeks. That was kind of like a permanent contract for many, many years. And then I would get called by other radio stations. So frequently a couple of shows a week. And my agreement was I would do that. I just said to my guys, I'll never turn it down. I'll never say no. So you can throw anything you want at me. But it was, like I said, my second job, but it was the one I loved doing, because there's a huge sense of achievement in helping somebody overcome something that's dogged them for their whole life. When you understand it because of a dream and you can say, look, here's your issue and here's where it comes from and here's how to fix this. Let me help you fix it. That feels absolutely great. So I loved doing that work, but it didn't pay very well, because I was slotting it in to evening times and weekend times. I would do weekend classes, maybe they would run for 2 days and so on, but I would still work Monday to Friday and then Monday to Friday the following week. Many years later, after we were married, and I said to you, look, hey, we do pretty well on both our salaries. We both have good salaries. Would you be okay with me dropping my salary in half, maybe, or worse, and working at this full time? And that was originally what I thought I was going to do. It's like, I'm going to take a hit, but I'm going to do this because I love doing this. And ironically, I did take a huge hit. It was a massive hit that lasted for years and we weren't able to live on it. But where it led to ultimately was fantastic. But so I probably need to back up a bit. Why would I do it? I'm teaching the classes, I'm working with people. And while I'm teaching classes, I can see the spirits. I can see their guides in the same room that they're in. And I see them struggling and going, I'd love to believe what you're saying about guides and how they help us and all that sort of stuff. So I'm living two lives. I'm living a life where I'm very aware of the spirit world. I can talk to them and I can channel and I can see them. But I'm not really sharing that with other people. And then eventually at one point, I don't know why in this particular class, I decided I'm going to see if I can show the people in this class how to see spirits. And so I got somebody up against one of the plain walls in the room and I pointed out how to see the aura. I'm not sure it would work. There was 20 something people in the class and I'd say easily 17 or 19 of them saw it. And then once they could see the aura, I showed them how to see spirits beside the person. And it worked. It was really good. Not everybody could do it. But now when I teach about this, everybody can do it. So it's really cool. Nothing to do with dreams. But I just thought this might change people's view because if they can see that they have guides, then they can't argue about the fact that they're there and they're real. And so after that, when everybody sat down to do the next part of the class, the difference in the room was astounding. It's like, tell me more, tell me more, tell me more. Instead of like, oh yeah, we're taught to say a prayer to our guardian angel when we're a child, but that's it. That's all it is. It's like, oh no, I see them. This is amazing. And so anyway, I'm living in two worlds and I'm trying to figure out how can I blend the two? How can I get other people to see more of the world that I see? Because the spirit world is the real world. This world is one that lets us learn about ourselves through experiences and through seeing the issues that we have. Like, we hit against a wall. Like, if you want to go into the next room, you have to open a door. Anything you have to do in the physical world, you have to work on yourself to do. In the spirit world, there's no push on you to do those things. There's no necessity. So it can be something that you just put off and put off and put off, or it can be something that's almost impossible in the spirit world to do. So how do I mix the two? How do I bring people into my world? And so I was thinking, if I do this full time, it'll give me the ability to create courses that are more immersive. And so you might remember, like, it took 9 months to develop an online version of my in-person course. And you're like, how can it take 9 months? I mean, if you'd have told me at the start it would take 9 months to create that online course, I wouldn't have believed you. But it took that amount of time. And I was thinking, okay, that'll help me expand my reach rather than, I wasn't thinking that'll be how I'll do it from then on. But I did that. And what I discovered was, because I had pre recorded all these short, bite sized lessons, I don't know, I think there's 60 of them in the course. I could say, hey, between now and next week, when we're in this cohort where we're doing the class, watch these videos, and then you can ask me any questions you want, and I'll interpret dreams next week. So instead of me teaching and then interpreting a few dreams, I went from that to being able to just interpret dreams and use them as a basis to back up the lessons that people had learned during the week. And so it was like, oh, wow, this is way better than the previous way of doing it. So kind of funny how it happened that way. And then, that was, I think, 2012, 2013. But then that wasn't even going full time. The full time was really a naive choice on my part. There's so many people hurting and in pain in the world. And I can see what that is in their dreams. I can see why that is. And I can help a lot of people to heal their issues. And I was thinking, there's so many people that there is definitely room for me to do this full time. But what I didn't know is that it's very difficult to go from a conventional job where let's say the industry that exists writes your paycheck, to you being responsible for everything, and drawing enough people towards yourself in order to sustainably have a living. And that took a lot of work to figure out. In fact, we had to hire another company to help us do that. So for the first 4 years, we hemorrhaged money. And well, because you were supporting us doing this. And we were almost at the point of throwing the towel in before we finally turned the corner. So we were very, very lucky, you could say, lucky that we didn't quit. But it was that whole idea that there is two worlds. People are not aware of this other world. And I just wanted to try pull people closer into the world that I know exists and is real. And I think I do that successfully. So when I'm running the classes, even our mentorship class, my favorite thing is if everybody in the room just says, we have questions, and they just fire questions at me. Because doing this for 35 years, I've seen a lot of things in people's dreams, and I've learned a lot from those things. So I don't have the answers to everything, but I have seen a lot, and I can answer a lot. I can answer pretty much any question about channeling, for instance. I can answer so many questions about dreams. But my real interest is the big picture, the whole thing. Why are we here in the first place? Why are you here in the first place? Like, you, the person talking to me. And your dreams are going to tell you why you're here. And your guides are going to back it up. And to think that that information is there and available to everybody if they want it, and yet nobody wants it because they don't know it's even there. That was kind of the reason for, let's do this full time. I thought it would be a lot easier than it is. I definitely admit that, though.
I fully agree with you. What I find interesting is we had one of our students say in one of her testimonials, "We are pioneers." And I thought that was just perfect words, because you are like a pioneer. But you're much, much more than that, because you have created this full market. There's always been people interested in dreams. And just like myself, I never could find any answers. They just were mumbo jumbo and made no sense to me until I met you. And I had you do some dreams, and I got to attend some of your classes, and I went, oh my God, you have the answers. And it's not that you have the answers, is that you can understand the language to give someone the answers. You want to explain a little bit about the language of dreams and how you got that and are able to just clearly see it? Because it is a language all on its own.
I find it funny you said first, though, pioneer, because the first 4 years in, I was thinking I'm more like one of these pioneers who's trying to be the first to get to the South Pole, and my body's going to be found 25 years later by the person who actually makes it. But anyway, well, the language of dreams is very straightforward, and we talk about it on the show all the time. The thing is, though, it's a very deep language. It's not like where we use words. So think about how words work. We Something happens, we have an experience, and then we find the words to describe the experience. The words are incredibly limiting, and there's an awful lot of confusion with people like, oh, I thought you said this, I thought you meant this, and I took offense for that reason, or whatever it happens to be. That's why we have litigation. We have all these various different things. So words are very limiting, and they come after the fact. And so dreams use a different language. They use a language that we already have inherent to us while we're in the womb. We dream while in the womb. And it's the language is like, it's so expressive. It's you creating a world around yourself that is pretty much showing you what your beliefs are, what your limitations are, what your strengths are, even if you don't know them. They're all encoded in this symbolic language. You know, it's think of it this way. I think another way to think about it is you think your thoughts are private to you, but your thoughts create your reality. So if somebody knows how to look, they can look at the reality that you created around yourself and know your thought patterns. It's in the same way, like the triggers that set somebody off. If we take the time to look at those triggers, then we can see the person's trauma and we can be the catalyst for healing their trauma. It's so we're looking at it with dreams the same way I'm just describing that we create the world around us based on our patterns, our thought patterns, and so on. Our dreams are the same way, and it's a language where the dream guide is sending us the dream, but we change it instantly based on how we think. And from looking at the dream, then we can tell what's been asked of us and what our response is. I don't know if I've described it. I've never described it that way, but it's such an immersive language. It's really like, what world could you create for yourself if you were given a blank canvas? Because that's really what a dream is.
Wow, that is so beautiful. Well, Michael, I think this was so insightful, and I loved how you shared your passion for dreams, talked about how it can help people in so many ways in their life. Is there any final comments that you would like to add before we wrap this up?
Well, we have a dream interpretation summit from March 27th to 29th, 3 days. The links to that are under this show. But your dreams are the most important thing, the most important messages you're ever getting. So it's it's really how you should be looking at it. Every single dream is important. You don't need to interpret all your dreams, but you should definitely be interpreting some of your dreams. And the only reason you don't need to interpret all is the message is repeated. They don't just say, "Oh, I told you once." You're going to get that message over and over again. And the messages include things about your career, things about your health, things about relationships, things about your gifts and how you're meant to help other people. There's no limit to what your dreams talk about. They talk about everything because they talk about your reason for existing on the planet today. So if they're going to talk about that, they're going to cover everything that's important in your life. It's learning the language of dreams or even having somebody else interpret a few dreams for you is the best gift you could ever give yourself.
Well, Michael, thank you very much for that fabulous summary. And I hope everybody is keeping their calendars open for those dates in March. That's all we have for this week. So have a fabulous week. And I look forward to meeting you next week. Thank you. Bye. Thanks, Michael.
Bye.